This happened to me some time ago, and even now it lingers in my mind like a shadow I can outrun. It wasn't dramatic in the sense of a fight or a scene, but it shook me in ways I never expected. It started on a Friday evening. I was getting ready to go out. Nothing too fancy, just a short skirt and a fitted top. The outfit wasn't extravagant, but it made me feel good about myself. Confident, visible, a little daring. My husband had invited me to join him at a bar where some of his friends were meeting up. Honestly, I wasn't all that excited about it, but I agreed because it mattered to him. By the time we arrived, I was in decent spirits. The bar was a relaxed spot, not overly crowded. Just the kind of place where groups gathered to blow off steam at the end of the week. The moment we walked through the door, my husband spotted his friends and immediately drifted toward them. I was left standing there trying not to feel out of place. Not wanting to look awkward, I headed toward the bar to order a drink. And that's when I noticed him, one of my husband's closest friends, someone I'd known casually for years. Let's call him W. When his eyes landed on me, he did a double take. It wasn't just a polite acknowledgement either. He stared. It wasn't subtle. It was intense enough to shift the air around me, and I could feel it. I tried to brush it off, telling myself I was overthinking. But as I waited for my drink, I felt his gaze flick toward me again and again, lingering longer each time. It made my pulse quicken in a way I didn't want. Eventually, he made his way over. I forced a polite smile, reminding myself this was my husband's friend. We exchanged casual greetings, but there was something in his tone that immediately felt different. When he told me I looked good, it wasn't just a friendly compliment. The way his eyes held mine, the way his words lingered, it carried an edge that unsettled me. I thanked him quickly, trying to keep it light, but he didn't step back. If anything, he leaned closer, lowering his voice as though he wanted to carve out a private world between us. He asked about my husband in a casual tone, but his eyes never left me. Then, without warning, his fingers brushed lightly against my arm. It was fleeting, almost deniable, but the deliberate nature of it made my stomach flip. Before I could react, he leaned in even closer, his lips dangerously near my ear, and said, "Does your husband really like you wearing that?" The words froze me. I felt my face flush hot, not from embarrassment, but from shock. The insinuation in his voice was clear, and the way his eyes traveled over me confirmed it. I forced myself to answer calmly, telling him my husband trusted me, that I didn't need anyone else's approval. My voice sounded sharper than I intended. I shifted back, creating space, but he closed the gap again. He smirked, murmuring that he wasn't worried, just curious. And then, with the same low, almost conspiratorial tone, he asked if I was interested in a little fun. For a second, I couldn't breathe. My heart was slamming against my ribs so hard it felt like the entire room could hear it. This wasn't a misunderstanding. He wasn't joking. He was propositioning me. My mind raced, telling me to walk away, to end it, to run straight back to my husband. But my body betrayed me, caught in the tension of the moment. When his hand slid lightly against my waist, the reality hit even harder. This wasn't playful anymore. It was deliberate, invasive. I whispered, "What are you doing?" My voice barely rose above the music. He gave me a smile that wasn't kind, wasn't warm. It was the smile of someone who thought they were in control. "You know what I mean?" he whispered. "You can feel it. The way we've been looking at each other since he walked in." The words knocked the wind out of me. I hadn't been looking at him that way. At least I hadn't thought so. But the way he said it twisted everything like he was planting a seed of doubt. I didn't want to consider. I tried to step back, but he didn't move. His presence pressed into mine, suffocating. His hand gripped my arm, firmer this time. He lowered his voice again. "Just once. No one has to know. You'll see what you've been missing." I felt heat rush into my face, a sickening cocktail of anger, fear, and something I couldn't even name. I yanked my arm free and forced my voice to steady. I said, "No, leave me alone." For the first time, he didn't follow. He just stood there, watching me with a look I couldn't quite decipher. Half amusement, half challenge. I walked away quickly, back to where my husband was laughing with his friends, completely unaware of what had just unfolded. I sat down beside him, my hands trembling slightly, my chest tight. I tried to act normal, smiling and joining in the conversation, but inside I felt like I was unraveling. A part of me wanted to tell him everything to warn him about what his so-called friend had just done. Another part of me didn't want to ruin his night or ignite a conflict that might burn bigger than I could handle. As the evening dragged on, I felt more and more disconnected. Every laugh, every word I spoke felt like a lie. And then across the room, I saw W again. He was looking right at me, his expression unreadable, but the intensity in his eyes made my pulse spike. Not long after, my phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out, hoping it was something, anything, to distract me. But no, it was a message from him. I'm still waiting. Stop pretending you don't feel it. My stomach turned. I locked my phone quickly, shoving it away like the words might vanish if I ignored them, but they didn't. They stayed with me, humming in the back of my mind like a live wire. I excused myself, telling my husband I needed some air. Outside, the cool night breeze brushed against my skin, grounding me for the first time in hours. I took deep breaths, trying to calm the storm inside me, but then I heard footsteps behind me.